Hey guys, sorry it's been a bit of a long time since the last Blade guide. I need a little bit of a break myself. But anyway, we are now back and we've still got some more Blades to cover in this series, so let's get back into it. Next up, we've got Adenine, who is one of the better gacha blades you can actually get, and a solid high B-tier blade. Adenine is classed as a healer blade, but she's more of an enabler than a healer, but she accomplishes this role very well. Using her in the right situations can lead to some massive damage for yourself and team, and she offers a variety of other support abilities to be additionally impactful. In this video, we're going to take a look at Adenine, discuss all of her strengths and weaknesses, and how to use her the most effectively. If you enjoy this type of guide content, please be sure to subscribe to the channel as it does help out so much. Let's get into it. So Adenine is the second Knuckle Claw type weapon we have discussed, and Knuckle Claws are a pretty good weapon class with pretty good animations on all drivers and good driver combo coverage. They also have the highest auto attack stat for a general healer class weapon, able to reach over 1300 with the best core chips, and also reach a pretty solid critical hit rate, maxing out at 40% with the Moon Matter. The block rate is the second lowest tier in the entire game, but as usual, that typically does not matter all that much at all. Adenine's defenses include a mediocre 10% physical and a pretty solid 30% ether, giving her some okay survivability if she gets targeted. Her stat mod is 15% dexterity, meaning she can boost accuracy pretty effectively on her driver, which is nice. Her cooldown is also 5, which makes it among the lowest in the entire game, which is also a good thing. As per usual though, that doesn't really mean all that much so far, so what are her battle skills? Adenine's first battle skill is Treasure Wisdom. This will increase enemy item drop rate by 60% at level 1, rising up to 100% at level 5. This skill is weird because technically it is useless for actual combat purposes, so it's a skill that won't help her in battle at all, but at the same time, it isn't actually a bad skill. Item drop rate increase is actually very helpful for grinding core crystals, getting items faster, and just being able to go through the content of the game more efficiently. In that sense, this is a legitimately good skill, but for the purposes of in-game optimization and combat rankings, it is entirely useless, and is not a factor in how good Adenine is. What is good, however, is Adenine's second skill, Battle Wisdom. This has the same description at all levels, increasing damage when elemental weaknesses are exploited, and it affects the entire party. What this means is that if you are fighting an enemy where you or an ally can hit an elemental weakness, your damage will be increased. And this is not an insignificant increase either. Normally when you fight an enemy and you hit a weakness, that blade will do 20% more damage to the enemy. At level 1, this skill adds another 60% to that, making you do 80% more damage to the enemy, or an effective 50% damage increase from what you were doing before, since 1.8 divided by 1.2 is 1.5. This will rise 10% per level up until level 5 when you're doing 100% more damage than before, or 2.2 times the normal amount of damage to the enemy. This is an effective 83% damage increase you can give a blade that is another independent multiplier from everything else, which is incredibly good, and only one other blade even has this skill. This makes Adenine very valuable in many situations. The other blade has a bit less support for certain things, as well as so Adenine is by no means outclassed, and you can also stack these two blades to multiply the effect further. It can be very powerful and is probably the major selling point of Adenine, and what makes her so good. It can also make Adenine herself hurt a lot when fighting a wind-weak enemy. Adenine's final skill is Element Wisdom. This will increase blade combo damage by 20% at level 1, rising up to 60% at level 5. This is a whatever skill. If she wasn't a wind blade, this would be great for increasing damage over time effects and making her a viable option for those, but wind blades are the only blades that cannot set up damage over time at all. All of their blade combos just do flat damage, and hitting damage cap on those is already easy enough, so this ends up not being very impactful when optimized. That's unfortunately just a problem with being a wind blade more than anything. All in all, it can still be okay as a skill at least, but it's not going to feel amazing either. Regardless, Adenine's second skill is great and the main reason to use her from a skill perspective. Let's check out her specials though. Adenine's level 1 is Harness the Wind. This is a single hit special of pretty decent speed. I wouldn't say there's really all that much notable about it since it's in that average and most common special damage ratio tier of 300 at level 1 and 480 when maxed out at max affinity, but it does have a pretty decent radius that will hit around the target, and it's also a projectile special, so you can do cool things like boost its damage by starting a chain attack before it actually hits the enemy, but it's still only one hit, so it's probably not really that worth it. Its bonus effect is reducing all current aggro by 40%, which is alright, but not the most overly useful thing in the world in my opinion. Adenine's level 2 special is Slipstream. This is a 3-hit special of below average speed, but also has a decent area of effect radius and a 25% critical hit modifier, showing off a bit of synergy with higher critical hit rate. Now besides that, it isn't all that impressive, being on the lower end of damage ratios for a level 2, 400 level 1, 560 level 5, and 580 at max affinity. Overall, Adenine's special damage isn't really the major reason to use her anyway, so that doesn't matter all that much, but the bonus effect is also a bit more offensive, nullifying enemy guard rate so you never have to worry about attacks getting blocked, and doing reduced damage. All in all, it's not really her best special though. Adenine's level 3 special is Mortal Storm. This special has average speed but a few unique properties. First, it actually has a decent enough damage ratio of 550 at level 1, 710 at level 5, and 748 at max affinity. Secondly, it has a 50% critical hit modifier to give critical hit chance a nice boost. Thirdly, it also has an effect of nullifying enemy guard rate, making it a good option for pure damage that doesn't get blocked. And finally, it has a blowdown chance on every hit of the special, along with the final hit having an even higher blowdown chance. This can actually be situationally useful near cliffs or for interrupting enemy actions, so it is at least worth mentioning, and this is probably one of her best damaging options in general too. Now it is 5 hits total, and the speed isn't amazing, but it can still be a pretty good damage option to consider if you want to use Adenine a bit more offensively. Adenine's level 4 special is Literacy Beatdown. Bad news is that it is one of the only level 4 specials with no bonus effect. The good news is that it has a pretty decent damage ratio for a healer of 1050. To be honest, there isn't really all that much to say about the special since that's about all to note about it. Level 4 specials still have invincibility and are good for setting up fusion combos, and for a pure damage option, the special can be okay with its high ratio and 60% critical hit modifier, but overall it's not a special you'd absolutely want to use over any other, but it is an option to consider. So you might have noticed that despite being a healer, none of Adenine's skills or specials have anything to do with healing at all. This means that her only source of healing is a single health potion Ardon driver, so do keep that in mind. She is not very good at actually healing the party and focuses more on support in other ways, so if you want a blade that functions more as a healer, I do not recommend Adenine for that. For setup, I am running the Moon Matter core chip so we can hit that big 40% critical hit rate so Adenine can do a decent amount of damage herself and contribute to fights in meaningful ways. The bonus Tachyon effect isn't overly useful in my opinion if you run art recharge pouch items, which we are of course. And for aux scores, Affinity Max Attack is a great option as usual for a high additive damage increase, and I'm personally running Night Vision right now because one of the things Adenine is very good at is toppling with Zeke thanks to her having a low blade switch cooldown and one of the fastest and best topple arts in the game, and we don't want to miss those topples. Night Vision is also just good in general to guarantee to hits against high agility enemies of challenge mode. If you want to run outdoor attack up or something else or critical up, be my guest. And because Adenine is more of an offensive option for the healer class blades, accessories are also going to reflect this with me running a Crimson Headband to boost critical damage with her high critical hit rate, along with an Enlightened Loincloth for a nice 85% damage boost, and the Noise Dampener since Zeke can do some good art damage with Wind Knuckle Claws that can actually be even more useful than her specials. I'd say Adenine isn't super amazing in chain attacks most of the time, but Burst Symbol can be an option if you want to boost elemental damage in chains, but typically the other blade is better for that. For pouch setup, I already said it, but Art Recharge all the way. Double meets on Zeke get him to the 1.0 threshold with the favorite bonus, and that's exactly what we want here. With all that done, let's take a look at how to use Adenine practically. So as already stated, Adenine is a very effective support character, but she can also be decent as an offensive blade herself, and a lot of this is going to be focused on actually using her, so I do want to show off that to an extent. She has one of the best topple arts in the game on Zeke. Hammer Lariat is probably the second best in the game after Anchor Shot. It is actually faster than Anchor Shot, but I'd still give the edge to Anchor Shot just because of the critical recharge with Mithra, and the fact that you also get an additional potion from it, which can be useful in a lot of situations. But I would definitely call this one the second best. You also have Fury Dropkick, which is a really nice art. It's really fast. It has a pretty good damage ratio. It has a blowdown effect as well, if you can actually blow down the enemy. And you also have that extra health potion art on all the drivers as well. Diamond Knuckles is a pretty good one for Zeke, I would say. And yeah, we haven't even really used a special yet. I was trying to show off the art power more than anything, so we haven't even gotten the chance to use a special yet. But with my current setup, I've got Adenine, who has, you can use double wind combo with her, and then finish it off with Tora's ground combo. So here's a level 4. This actually ends up going off on the launch. We get easy damage cap on that. Not too hard to do at all. And we can just kind of keep him topple locked pretty effectively here, just because of the fact that we've got just the really fast topple arc, so as long as Tora's on top of his break, we can kind of keep him combo locked up until a certain point where he'll eventually go immune to it from Awakening, which I think is right here. Thor's a little bit slow on his brakes, so we're unable to break him in time. That's not a huge deal. We got the Cyclone set up, waiting for that Ultra Annihilation Flare, that one little really dangerous move he has. Because, you know, level 4s are useful for guarding this, so that's exactly what we're going to do here. From here, we've got Tora ready to use Sandstorm after we can get a topple on him or something like that, and that should be close to ending the fight. No damage cap on that, because there wasn't a fusion combo set up, but you can still see, like, almost 800,000 on just the Cyclone, not even a Blade combo finisher. So that Blade combo damage can be useful in certain situations like that. We did get some extra damage there. So that is one practical use of the skill. We're not really showing off the elemental weakness stuff right now. I just want to show off Adenine's offensive capabilities in general here. We'll be able to show off the elemental weakness thing in the next fight, where it can be really, really useful with this current setup we've got. But right now, though, you can just kind of see he can get topple locked extremely easily. We're going to use our level 3 here, which is going to do a lot of damage. We can't knock him back because he was launched, but, you know, same difference. Get the full blade combo damage, full experience, and now, Chaos. Normal mode, Cloud Seeking Ken, challenge mode. 50 million HP, but he starts out weak to win. So, you're going to be seeing Adenine do quite a bit of damage there. I just did over 200,000 damage without even critting this thing with Fury Dropkick there. And yeah, you're seeing right now we're hitting really high damage hit thresholds here, and we're not even getting critical hits. So yes, Adenine can function well as an offensive blade, especially when you're fighting wind-weak enemies. Adenine can be very useful against them. Now, I'm actually really unlucky with my crit RNG looking at this, with the 40% crit rate, max affinity, and the fact that I've got the 60% critical modifier on level 4. I don't know why I didn't get that many crits on that, but not really a huge deal. Not really a major deal. We can still do a lot of damage to him. So one thing about this setup, like I've already said, we can set up a nice blade combo by using Tora's level 3 to finish off after using Cyclone with Adenine. End up missing that topple there, which is unfortunate, but we got pretty fast arc cooldown, so I get another chance at it, and we're able to topple him pretty easily here. We get the launch. I'm not launching Cyclone just yet. I wanted to try to wait for a better fusion combo with level 4, but it doesn't end up happening how I want to. Tora also gets a good break timing there. We actually do get the topple off before I set up the level 4 Cyclone here. And then I immediately launch Sandstorm right on top of that, because that's going to do a lot of damage with the fusion combo bonus we just set up. Yeah, these hits are doing over 300,000 for Cutie Pie here, so that's going to be easy blade combo setup. I decide not to chain attack here because I don't think the top... Actually, I do chain attack here, never mind. I'm thinking of a different situation. There's a little bit of topple duration left. We'll get a decent amount of extra fusion combo damage on top of this topple since we got the double stack fusion here. And I believe after this, he'll enrage. And when he enrages, Adenine is no longer going to be able to do super effective damage to him per se, because he's not going to be weak to win. But that's not going to be a huge issue because he enrages to Earth Weak. And as you might know here, we've got Cutie Pie as an Earth Blade, and her damage is going to be significantly increased. And being a really powerful offensive blade, that is very, very useful for us. She's going to be able to carry the rest of the damage with pretty much no issues at all. So after using Dagas here, this section will be over. Dagas is also boosting our damage further, by the way. He's got that really good 120% damage additive. We'll talk about him a little more later in a different video. Yep, weak to win now. Cutie Pie is going to be doing a lot of damage. Cutie Pie has also taken aggro off of us. Adenine's probably never going to get aggro again in this fight, just because she's no longer doing the bulk of the damage, since we're no longer hitting the elemental weakness here. But we can still hit a decent amount. We can still hit like a 217,000 there on the launch with the critical hit Fury Dropkick. So it's not nearly as impressive as it might have been before, but it's still pretty dang impressive. And as you might expect, Tora with the Sandstorm here is going to be able to do a lot. I try to do a topple here. I don't remember if it goes off. It does end up going off. Over 400,000 without any kind of fusion combo on these hits. So yes, her damage has been boosted significantly from this. I start another chain attack right here, and this is going to almost finish him off. Not quite, but the rest of it is just basically just finishing off the last of his health bar, and which is it takes like about a minute longer after this, I think, so I ended up cutting the rest of it because I don't want the video just to be like another minute of nothing. I wanted to show off the power of Adenine's enabling here as well, mostly more than anything, because their actual damage potential, if you're not hitting elemental weaknesses, isn't the highest. But you can see how useful this top loader does on Zeke. I think Zeke is Adenine's best driver, and he's a great driver for Knuckle Claws in general. So if you're wondering who to give a Knuckle Claw to, Zeke is really good. We're able to hit damage cap without any kind of fusion combo on the level 2 because the topple wore off, so you can kind of see just how beneficial it is. I want to show off one more thing here, just Adenine as an enabler and an ally. So in this section, I'm controlling Corvin, and we've got Adenine on one of our allies. We also have the other blade that increases elemental weakness damage. But you're able to see right here, just art damage is doing 900,000 to these Elmas when I'm hitting their elemental weakness. That is insane. You cannot get this kind of damage without Adenine and being able to hit these elemental weaknesses, and I think that's one of her biggest strengths. And it is something that can be very useful in any fight with an elemental weakness. Cutie Pie also synergizes incredibly well with Adenine just because you can change your element to whatever, so you can always be hitting a weakness and just doing as much damage as possible. And I think that is something that is additionally very beneficial about her, and just something you should definitely consider if you want to use Adenine. All around, there probably isn't that much more to say about her. She's a very, very effective blade, very, very good, and very useful in the right situation. She can function okay as an offensive option, but she works very well as an enabler when you're fighting elemental weaknesses, and that is one of the main reasons she is a high B-tier blade, and definitely the best Knuckle Claw in the game if you ask me. That's going to cover it for this guide, so I hope you guys learned something from watching, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure to comment down below, like the video, and make sure to subscribe to the channel, and all that stuff is going to help me out so much, and yeah, look forward to all of my future Blade guides. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a blessed day.